Right, all you up-all-nighters, you insomniatic TV watchers, gamers, grapplers, and drivers, and especially you streetlight crusaders from all around the world. Welcome to the 5:22 in the morning edition of the Tuesday Night Special. I am your insomniatic host from the East Coast, DJ Smokey, bringing you the best for the North, South, East, and West that the world of music, games, and wrestling has to offer. And seeing the fact that we're already halfway through this year of the fist already, and very surprised about that, we might as well waste no time and explain to you guys what we got prepared for this very special mid-month, mid-round fighting edition of the Tuesday Night Special. Because we kick things off with what happened during this week's edition of Monday Night Raw from San Jose, California, and Carl and Maestro immediately stopping me before I did a No Way Jose dance. Thanks. Next up on the plate, we go into a very special atomic fighting edition of the As Seen on TV. And no, Carl and Maestro, it's not Adam Ant. But good idea and good guess. Also, besides that, we go ahead and check out some video game hits, clips, as well as scratching that indie itch you've got at home for the world of IndieCade for another edition of the IndieCade Triple S Deluxe. Then we find out what sort of weather we can expect for this week and what other crazy outfit Dan the Weatherman Stu's got planned for this week for another edition of the Weather Update. And apparently, according to Carl and the Maestro, it's going to be a disco-based outfit with a cape. Of course, now he's a fan of capes. What is he, Dracula now? Apparently no. Right. Then finally, last but not least, and hopefully before the sun rises, we wrap up the show yet another edition of the Indy Report, which is me giving you guys two news stories followed up by local concert information from local artists performing in a local area live near you. And I guess with that said, I might as well tell Carl and the Maestro to kick up the beats, crank out the tunes, and most importantly, make sure you put those lights over in the corner for Dan the Weatherman Stu's grand entrance since he acts for it somehow. Because it's time for us to bring some fun and delight on your street-lit, moonlit Tuesday night. Only here, right here, on the Tuesday Night Special. So let's get this streetlight show started, folks. Right, all you streetlight crusaders, and I guess a couple you wrestling fans who are still up for tonight. Welcome back to the Tuesday Night Special. And now it's time for us to talk about what happened during this week's edition of Monday Night Raw from San Jose, California. And I don't care what you guys say, I'm gonna do it. No way, Jose. No way, Jose. No way, Jose. No way, Jose. You know what? As a matter of fact, I'm wondering, what happened to No Way Jose? He's somewhere in Jose? Apparently Carl and Maestro said no way. Oh, see, now you ruined it. But besides ruining that fun time of a musical number we had with lights included, Monday Night Raw would kick off with none other than CM Punk. Not only letting everybody know in San Jose it's clobbering time, but also acknowledges the fact of what's been going on with the wildfires in California and gives his condolences to those out there and supports and gives a salute to those out there supporting against the wildfires. And here's hoping things get better in the future for them in California, in all seriousness, because, yeesh, that was tough to see in the morning, and I thought it was a movie at one point. But yeah, no movie being shot down there. That's just real bad luck. Yikes. But to switch gears from that to the entertainment portion of the programming, the quote CM Punk, he would immediately talk about beating Seth Rollins on the biggest night in the biggest change for WWE, and said that he doesn't have a lot on his plate anymore because he's done with Seth Rollins and he's moving on directly to other business, to something that he can see in the far distance. That neon glowing sign for WrestleMania that nobody else can see, and another superstar that a lot of people can't see, but Punk can see him just fine. And he's talking about John Cena. And the fact that he announced himself to be a part of the Royal Rumble match, well, CM Punk would say, I'm joining alongside with him to throw 29 other people over the top rope and achieve his dream of main eventing WrestleMania. Even though the likelihood of somebody main eventing WrestleMania from the Royal Rumble is not likely. But then again, the past couple of years, the Royal Rumble winner has went to the main event of the big dance. And is it because it's Cody Rhodes? Carl and Michael said maybe. But either way you look at it, just when he was going to ask to play his song, another song would play that would get on his nerves in the form of Seth Rollins, who would have CM Punk saying, why couldn't Rhea interrupt me? Why couldn't Rhea interrupt me? Yeah, I'm wondering the same thing as you, man. And Seth Rollins saying that he lived up to his promise, win, lose, or draw, he's still gonna be out here. But he couldn't say the same thing about CM Punk. Even though Punk said, well, I won, so I'm still out here. Only for Seth Rollins to say, I would rather be the worst version of me than the best version of you, and then would immediately say, after taking off his glasses to reveal that he got a shiner after getting put to sleep in the main event last week, that he is going to try to stop the dreams of one CM Punk by entering himself in the Royal Rumble match, and looking to win his second Royal Rumble match too. Almost forgot to mention that. And before they could get in a back and forth fight, next thing you know, Drew McIntyre would come out and tell them all that they're not focusing on the big picture, and at the same time blame Seth Rollins for not getting involved in the tribal combat match to prevent none other than Roman Reigns from getting the Ulafau back. But at the same time, what about Drew McIntyre? Where was he at? Nowhere to be found. Getting prepared for his match. Same thing that Seth tried to do, but he lost. And pointed out by Drew McIntyre. But I'm pretty sure you lost too, Drew. Okay, apparently he's just blind to certain things. But either way you look at it, folks, we would then immediately hear CM Punk saying that he's out of patience, he's done listening to him, he's out of time, and if you want to throw down, let's throw down right now. For Seth Rollins to get his game face on to get ready to fight, for Drew McIntyre to say, yeah, you want to see a fight, everybody? Well, it's not going to happen. I'm not doing it again. And since you all can't focus on the big picture with Roman Reigns in the Royal Rumble match, it's up to me to be the bigger man and try to be the hero of this story and take out Roman Reigns, because I'm gonna be in the Royal Rumble too. So thus far, for those keeping a head count, John Cena, Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and of course Drew McIntyre, all former world champions going into the Rumble for this year. Yikes. And yeah, pretty stacked Royal Rumble for this year too. But outside of that Rumble announcement, folks, we would hear from Seth Rollins backstage later on in the night, immediately saying that he got a match with Drew McIntyre. Seeing the fact that Drew's been poking the bear week after week after week, he's gonna give him the fight he's looking for. Only for Sami Zayn to say that if you're looking for somebody to talk to after what happened last week, you can talk to me. Only for Seth Rollins, who is still feeling a little raw, and no pun intended since we're on Monday Night Raw, to say that, you should be happy. Yeah, you're real happy right now. Your boy Roman Reigns won the match. He's got his Ulafala back. You helped him at War Games. You helped him in Tribal Combat. Hell, you might just help him win the Royal Rumble too. And, instead of doing things for Roman, why don't you do something for yourself for once? And just walks away. Of course. But the next match, or should I say the first match to take place on Monday Night Raw after all that backstage commotion, would see none other than Chad Gable going one-on-one against Pentagon, or Penta, or Penta Black, or Penta Cero Miedo. Whatever form of Penta it could be, it's a Penta that's currently in the World Wrestling Entertainment industry. And, now, congratulations! And not only we would get Cero Miedo chance in San Jose, but we would also get one hell of a match for Penta's first contest. Not only seeing Chad Gable do a belly-to-belly suplex into the corner, and then seeing Penta come back with a backstabber for near fall, but even seeing a German suplex by Chad Gable earlier on the apron, and now inside of the ring with a pin bridge for near fall. Even seeing a modified version of a Hurricane Rana off the top rope leading into a Mexican Destroyer, still for near fall. But ultimately, this match would come to an end after Chad Gable would try to go after the arm of Penta, but Penta in Lucha Underground was known as an arm collector and would collect it this time by using a move he calls the Sacrifice that would lead directly into the Penta driver for Penta to win his match with Cero Miedo via pinfall. And after the match was over, getting interviewed in the ring about the experience, he would thank the people and would say that this is his new home, and he said that everybody was waiting for this moment, but so was he. And then he said this is not only the Netflix era, but it's also the Penta era, because Penta is Cero Miedo. Yep, good old Penta. Now, it's only a matter of time before you see his brother Ray Phoenix in there to tear up the tag team division, because you know it's coming. But besides jumping on the internet wrestling community bandwagon of who's going to show up next, the next thing to take place on Monday Night Raw, speaking of people who might have a little bit of Miedo in them, would be Dominic Mysterio, who would try to apologize after last week after trying to give Rhea a hug after winning the championship, for Liv Morgan to say, "Oh, I'm not mad, but could you do me a favor? Could you get my bags and make sure the valet's ready for later on tonight for when we leave?" Okay. And Carlito, put these flowers up somewhere nice. Only for Dominic Mysterio to say, "Oh, she's not mad. I'm safe." And for Finn to say, "You got a lot of nerve, and you got a lot to learn too about women." And at the same time would try to figure out a way how to get back the tag team championships from the War Raiders, and for Finn to try to get prepared for his match later on tonight, and for Dominic to be told, "Do what Liv asks you to do. I don't need you out there tonight." Of course. But besides that Judgment Day situation that's going to be handled probably later on in the night, the next match to take place on Monday Night Raw would see none other than the Celtic Warrior Sheamus going one-on-one against Ludwig Kaiser. And during this match, where action would go back and forth and would see a running soccer-like drop kick directly into the chairs by the commentary desk for Kaiser to get a near fall from that, for Sheamus to come back with an avalanche white noise for near fall, even a kneecapper, or what we call around here a pump tiger knee for a near fall. But ultimately, this match would come to an emphatic end after we would see a reversal of the running enziguri from Sheamus, leading directly into a bro kick, knocking the features off the face of Kaiser, for Sheamus to win this match after having yet another banger via pinfall. But after the match was over and as he was celebrating with Pat McAfee and the fans, inside of the crowd, for what reason I know not, we would see Braun Breaker. And Braun would say, "Oh, you want another match with me?" And then was gonna threaten to tear his old ass in half again, and then immediately would lead to a push and shove by Sheamus, or should I say by none other than Braun Breaker, then back and forth between the two that led to a whole series of problems. And I got a feeling that's gonna be a rematch that's coming in the near future. When? I know not. But besides trying to predict the future for that, next thing we would see would be none other than Karrion Kross, who would get informed or would inform The Miz that the Wyatt Six have been moved to SmackDown. And I could see the reason why in the world Joe Gacy would have the SmackDown fist posted on Twitter, but I didn't think it meant that they were moving to SmackDown and threatened The Miz about the fact that he was the one who made it happen. Because remember, he was the one who pulled strings to get Mandy Rose moved to another show away from Otis. So, got a feeling it probably was him. But before he could go down that rabbit hole, Sami Zayn, who would try to find Adam Pearce's office, would then get crossed off by Kross for him to immediately try to stir the pot, only for The Miz to say, well, if he's trying to go for the world title, we don't have to worry about that because he's not really a threat when it comes to the world championship. Only for Sami to say, well, nobody's really worried about you either, being a puppet of Kross. And then for Miz to say, I won the world title twice, more times than you have ever won it. And then leading into Sami Zayn asking for a match against The Miz. Now, before we go into what happened next, Colin the Maestro said what is next now is going to be the match between Sami Zayn and The Miz. And I got a feeling if you had a blinked, you probably would have missed it, because during the set contest, when The Miz was trying to wonder why the fans was booing him and would immediately decide to kick the features off of Sami Zayn with the it kicks that he did, he would get kicked himself with a nasty haluva kick leading directly into a Blue Thunder Bomb for The Miz to lose this match in probably a little under 5 minutes via pinfall. Yikes. And after that crushing defeat, folks, and backstage, we would hear Karrion Kross talking about the fact of them going forward with a plan they had. And I don't want to know what that plan's going to lead to, but I got a feeling the hands of time is not really moving in The Miz's favor as long as he's hooked up with Kross. Just saying. But back to our regularly scheduled programming already in progress, we see Gunther in the center of the ring, wishing that he had a roster that can live up to the high expectations of this new era of WWE. Because everybody's worried about being a tribal chief, everybody's worried about winning the Rumble, settling grudges, and nobody's worried about the world title. Except for one man, and it would be Jey Uso, leading everybody into a bit of a dance for Pat McAfee to jump on the announce table and Michael Cole to say, oh no, I'm staying down here on the chair and I'm just gonna, that was a one night only deal last week on Netflix. But when Jey Uso got inside the ring, he would say, yeah, I'm ready to go for the championship and I want a title match at Saturday Night Main Event. I thought he would ask for a title shot at the Rumble, but Saturday Night Main Event, all right. But outside of where he wants the title match, he wants a title shot for Gunther to say, yeah, are you sure you want that? You're serious, right? I mean, yeah, I already beat you twice when I was Intercontinental Champion, and he already knows that he's capable of a lot less than what he's capable of. And he said that you need to stay out of main event business because I'm in the main event and your main event nickname is just a nickname at that, and you don't belong in the main event at all. Only for Jey to say, yeah, you were right about several things, but at the same time, even though he's a single superstar now and he's been fighting and trying to earn people's respect, and that's exactly what he's gonna do on Saturday Night Main Event after he beats him for the world title. And then if everybody agrees with me to go and say, well, yeet, and the fans would do so for the match to most likely be made by Adam Pearce. Okay? And And speaking of championship matches, folks, the next match that we have up would see Lyra Valkyria going one-on-one against Dakota Kai in the, finals for the Intercontinental Women's Championship. And during this match, or at least before it, Dakota Kai finally with some brand new music to go with her new attitude. But I got a feeling with that new attitude also is gonna come with some new scars. And the reason why I say that, folks, is because during this match, we would see an apron suplex by Lyra Valkyria for near fall. And Dakota Kai trying to come back with a small package? No deal. Chiropractor? Even a Liger bomb during this set contest by Lyra Valkyria, still for near fall. But this match would come to an end again after Dakota Kai would hit a Coda Stomp and a GTK for Lyra Valkyria to roll out of the ring, and for Dakota to try to get her from outside the ring, only to get hit with a zigzag out of the corner and a Nightwing for Lyra Valkyria to make up for her Queen of the Ring loss with some gold around her waist via pinfall. Only for Adam Pearce to make his way into the ring, give her the championship belt around her waist, Dakota Kai to show a bit of sportsmanship, and for Lyra Valkyria to celebrate on the top rope with the championship belt in hand. And congratulations! Yeah, seriously, congratulations on winning the championship belt. But I got a feeling Dakota Kai is not going to be defeated that easily. And I got a feeling somewhere out there, John Blood of New Legacy Inc. happy that she lost, but Duel not so happy. Yikes. But outside of that rematch I would love to see in the near future, folks, the next match that we've got up is our main event of the evening, which would be for a street fight between Damian Priest and Finn Balor. And during this said street fight, and even before Finn could make his way out to the ring, he would be there to set a trap like Admiral Akbar would try to warn him about. But let's just say, yeah, Damian Priest would get lit up with a kendo stick, leading to a fight toward the announce table, even into the fans with the stands. And speaking of those said stands, Damian Priest, wanting to end things once and for all, would hit a broken arrow directly off the stands through a table. 2 of them on the outside on concrete. Ew. And yeah, you'd think that would end the match. You really would. Only for Damian Priest, after Finn Balor was wheeled out, thanks to a stretcher and medical trying to take him to the back, to take out Carlito and JD McDonough to immediately take him back inside the ring and finish the job. Only for Carlito to hit him with a backstabber and JD to hit him with a moonsault, only for the assault to continue after the moonsault, with Finn Balor ripping off the neck brace, hitting a coup de grace, still for near fall. Then after that bit of a beatdown, we would see the War Raiders hitting the scene and immediately hitting JD with a Viking experience or whatever in the world they would call that move now. And then immediately for the War Raiders to immediately take it to JD and just fight back and forth. It was ridiculous. But ultimately, after 5 chair shots and a sling blade and even a South to Heaven that led to a near fall, this match would come to a brutal end with tables being broken after a coup de grace right through them, and even Damian Priest throwing him through the barricade, a razor's edge through a table, and yeah, Carl and the Maestro said, I thought you said it was over. Oh, it's over now after that South to Heaven, after Damian Priest would tell Finn Balor he's not his brother's keeper, for this match to come to an end again and hopefully end this rivalry via pinfall. Because, yeah, if this continues onward, somebody's going to end up in the hospital if they aren't already. Yeesh. But after that little rivalry was over, Damian Priest would celebrate in the ring with the wreckage of everything all around them in the most brutal of ways. For Raw to go off the air and for us to forget to mention that Bayley would be out there calling Michael Cole an idiot and at the same time interrupting the celebration of Rhea Ripley, wondering who was going to be next for her to fight for the championship. And at the same time for Nia Jax to come out with Bayley and for that whole championship triangle. And I guess with open trade window now, who's going to be next for Rhea Ripley? What's next for Damian Priest? Who else is going to declare themselves in the Royal Rumble, and who's going to actually fight their way to earn a spot for the Royal Rumble? And who will be the first contender to challenge against Lia Valkyria in her brand new shiny Intercontinental Championship belt? We find out the answers and that and more and other things that was most likely cut off thanks to commercial breaks on Netflix next time on another exciting Netflix edition of Monday Night Raw. But until then, folks, I think it's time for us to go grab a glass of water, and when we return, we'll be back with more of the Tuesday Night Special right after this. So don't go watching infomercials just yet, folks, and stay tuned. Right, all you insomniatic TV channel surfers out there tonight, welcome back to the Tuesday Night Special. And now it's time for us to go into yet another hard-fighting edition of the As Seen on TV. And the show we have up on the plate for this week is none other than a hidden gem, as I call it, none other than Atomic Betty. Carl and the Maestro scratching their heads and saying, I've never heard of that one, and yeah, for good reason, because this show bounced around several networks, but we'll get to that in just a second. Because the meat and potatoes for this said show would feature none other than Betty Barrett, the Moose Jaw Heights schoolgirl who would enjoy sci-fi cartoons and other things and singing in her band, becoming a secret member of the Galactic Guardians sworn to protect the entire world and galaxy itself as Atomic Betty. And with those meat and potatoes out of the way for this said show, what did I like about it? Well, for one, the fact that this show sort of reminded me of a combination of not only the Galaxy Trio, Space Ghost, with a little hit of Johnny Test in there as well too. Another thing that I loved about this show would have to be the theme song for Atomic Betty that was sung by none other than Betty herself, Tasha Aitson. And hopefully we said her name right, because she would be the person who would play Atomic Betty during this said show. But outside of playing Atomic Betty, she would also play none other than Princess P in Super Y for 101 episodes, even playing Pipsqueak in the Susus for 22 episodes, and even Jenny 10 featured in Dex Hamilton. Oh, not bad. Next up on the plate, you have none other than Tony Rosato, who would not only be responsible for being a part of Night Heat as Whitey and Arthur Whitey Morelli for 54 episodes, but also being a part of the 98 film of Nick Brand, even playing Dario in the 1999 version of Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, and even playing a part of SCTV as Marcello for 36 episodes. And according to Carl and the Maestro, was also involved in the said movie of The Red Maple Leaf as Vincent Marcella. Oh, not bad. Next up on the plate, you have none other than Tony Daniels, who would not only be responsible for being a part of The Secret Life of Walter Mitty in 2013, but would also be a part of the video game of X-Men Next Dimension for the PS2 as Logan, Wolverine, and Remy, better known as Gambit. Never knew he was Gambit in that game. Pretty cool. But also, besides that, would also be a part of the Black Mirror as Samuel Gordon. Then you have none other than Rick Jones, who would not only play Caesar Nicholas' servant, amongst others a part of the movie Anastasia, but would even play Zeke in Heavy Metal 2000, as well as playing a villager on Deadly Ground, in the movie On Deadly Ground, so those who don't get confused, back in 94, and was even Keisha's father, a part of the movie Kindergarten Cop in 1990. Next up on the plate, you have none other than Bruce Hunter, who would not only be a part of Good Will Hunting. I don't know why that's so funny, but yeah, you would be a part of Good Will Hunting as an NSA agent in 1997. Even playing the President Aide in Canadian Bacon in 1995. Even Tom, a part of the TV series of RoboCop in 1994 for 2 episodes. And as well as a mathlete moderator in Mean Girls in 2004. Next on the list, you have Rick Miller, who would not only be a part of the Prince of Persia, the Dark Two, or the Two Tales, as the Dark Prince in 2005, and was also a part of Far Cry Instincts as Simaru in the Evolution DLC. Even would play Winston Churchill in Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and would also be a part of the film of Stage Fright in 2014 as Alfonso. Next on the plate after that, you got Adrian Truss, who would not only be a part of Ruby Gloom as Poe for 27 episodes, even playing a cop in the 1995 hit movie of Tommy Boy, as well as being a part of Blindness in 2008, but most importantly would play none other than Admiral DeGille in 49 episodes of Atomic Betty. Next on the plate, you have Colin Fox, who would not only play Nielsen, a part of Tommy Boy, but also would play Spy Z in the movie Virus in 1980. Even be a part of Sci Factor for 88 episodes as Professor Anton Hendricks, and of course would play Roger Trilling in the 1996 film starring Steven Seagal, or according to Colin Maestro, who stopped me before I could even finish that sentence, was in the movie Daylight that starred Sylvester Stallone. Why did I think it was Seagal? Colin Maestro said because you were looking at that picture on the right with his face on it. Yeah, he was never in that film. But besides that ballpark era, folks, finally, last but not least, we have none other than Lori Elliott, who would not only play Noah in 40 episodes of Atomic Betty, but also would play Chad in 10 episodes of But I'm Chris Jericho, as well as playing Joe, a part of Total Drama, and also Holly in Almost Audrey. And Colin Maestro said we can mention one more, which is none other than Catherine Disher, who would not only play Dr. Natalie Lambert in 70 episodes of Forever Night, Jill, a part of the original Resident Evil 3 Nemesis game, as well as Jean Grey and the Phoenix, a part of 73 episodes of X-Men. And according to Colin Maestro, she also played Kate in Regression in 2015. Not bad. Not bad at all. Now, my favorite character a part of this show, I would have to say, and the person who takes the most amount of views during this show, would have to be the alien lieutenant and pilot during this said show of Sparky. And the reason why is because not only he's able to get these weird pets during the show, as well as being able to pilot the ship, but anybody who could be used as a human tennis ball while trying to realign a satellite from a planet being cracked in half during one of the episodes definitely deserves a lot more credit than he is getting on that ship. And seeing the fact that, unfortunately, and this is something that I did want to reveal to you fans out there, that this show originally was supposed to be brought back onto the airwaves back in 2014, but unfortunately, seeing the fact that it was put in developmental hell, they would be forced to scrap the future project that would see Atomic Betty becoming a teenager, still trying to fight crime for a series finale. But yeah, unfortunately, never to be seen, and yeah, it's sad. Really is. Really is. And seeing the fact that this show would originally kick off and be a part of Teletoon in August 29th of 2004, but unfortunately would come to an end as of January 29th of 2008, making this show well over 17 years old by the end of this year of the Fizz. And seeing the fact that it would have well over 79 episodes, broken into 156 segments spanned over 3 seasons, and the fact that we don't know how to review TV shows along the lines of TV Guide or any of those other famous TV reviewers that you know of out there, we say this. If you guys want to go ahead and watch an average schoolgirl try to live an average life while trying to protect the galaxy, where her family, friends, and others have no idea what in the world she does when she leaves school, but still is high on grades and still is cool. See, we had to make it rhyme in some way, shape, or form. Then I recommend you go out there, pick up your TV channel remotes, and watch that show. And trust me, folks, it's definitely a fun adventure with somebody trying to live not only on Earth, but in space. Carl and Michael told me I shouldn't do that, but I decided to anyway. And I guess with that said, folks, I think it's time for us to head back to that music once again. And when we return, we'll be back with more of that Streetlight Delight when the Tuesday Night Special returns right after this. So don't go watching reruns of Seinfeld just yet, folks, and stay tuned. We're back with the Insomniatic show that was able to unearth the show that's been lost by networks past, only known as the Tuesday Night Special. And Carl and my show said we almost forgot to mention that this show that was originally a part of Teletoon would make its way to M6 in France and even eventually make its way to Teletoon in France as well. And Carl and Michael said you just said Teletoon twice. Yeah, it was 2 different networks, one in Canada, one in France, and that's where the show would end, with 3 seasons. Unfortunately, the last season that was supposed to be featured in Cartoon Network's time never got really featured. That was weird, really weird. But besides continuing the history of lost shows that we'll try to mention more of in the near future, I think it's time for us to unearth some of those video game hits and clips, as well as nominees, and scratching that indie itch you've got from the world of IndieCade for another edition of the IndieCade Triple S Dawg. And we kick things off with the art wall. And the art wall picture that we have up for this week comes from the developers Patroniz and Excondite, or Deets. We'll go with the third one just in case with their said game of Pineapple, a Bittersweet Revenge. And the artwork that we have up for this week has apparently someone with a sticker over their face with a palm tree saying, "Don't panic, it's organic," as he tries to do a kickflip over a cart carrying some food and apparently drinks on there as well too, next to a giant oversized table with wine glasses and wine on it as well too. So what, did he just do a kickflip over the appetizers? Huh, weird. And not to mention in the background, the beautiful wall that's painted yellow with no paintings inside of the frame for the pictures, right? And this automatically reminds me of, for some strange reason, of, I would have to say home movies, with the exception that somebody be kick-flipping over an entree tray with a sticker over their face. But here's hoping in the near future that you can pull off some cool tricks during this game without a sticker being over your face, for whatever reason. Probably to hide its identity, according to Call of the Maestro. Alright, I get it. And with that said, folks, we now make our way on over towards the art wall. And the art wall, or should I say, sound wall, thank you for the correction, Call of the Maestro, comes from none other than Nabil and Asari with their said Sound of Day. And when I close my eyes while listening into this sound, it automatically reminds me of the show that Carl and the Maestro used to host called Sail Away, where they would have people create these sailboats that try to fight in the middle of a pond or ocean. And Carl and the Maestro said episode 6 got a little crazy when one person decided to create a naval destroyer using household objects and cardboards and Nerf cannons, and yeah, somebody got hit in the eye with one of the Nerf cannons that came out of one of the guns. Hence the reason for his show's cancellation. Yikes! Is that guy okay? Apparently he's showing me a picture of him in an eye patch, which means no, he's not okay. But that happened about 4 years ago too, didn't it? Yeah, still not alright. Okay? Well, with that said, folks, we now make our way on over to the Screenshot Saturday Showcase, and the Screenshot Saturday Showcase picture we have up for this week comes from the developers Will Win Games with their said game of Plunder Panic. And the screenshot that we have up for this week shows our pirate foes duking it out on a ship, not only trying to pick the hat to become the hat captain, but also trying to select which pirate is going to try to become the captain and fight for the honor of the ship. And at the same time showing the fact that it's a conquest and a public match where it's 2 versus 1, I don't like those odds. And this automatically reminds me of a combination of Pirates of the Caribbean, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, with a little hit of the duck game in there as well too. And here's hoping in the near future for this set game that they give you a litany list of weapons you could use to fight for the honor of your ship. Cause I got a feeling if you're in 2-on-1 competition against somebody, you're gonna need all the artillery you can get, and hopefully they can provide it. And Carl and the Maestro said they might want to watch out for the potential octopus or squid that may show up during the fight. Oh yeah, I forgot, this does take place in open waters, don't it? Oh, it does. Ugh. Well, here's hoping that you can avoid getting taken out by a giant squid. Don't want that. Really don't want that. But besides trying to avoid giant squids, folks, we now make our way on over to more of the games that was featured as nominees from the Indy Festival of Games this past year. And the next set of games we have up, and Carl and the Maestro said you might as well start with that one. And the next game we have up comes from none other than Local Dunk, nice name by the way, with their said game of Bellatro. Next game after that comes from the developers of Chroma Corp team with their said game of Chroma Corp that was nominated for the Live Action Award, and the game prior nominated for the Systematic Design Award and the Tabletop Design Award. And the last but not least nominee we have up for this week, and to wrap up the nominees we've got that we've mentioned for the past several weeks, from the developers Nero with their said game of the Crush House. And I do think we mentioned that last week. Nice, and a little bit of ironry too. And the next thing we're heading towards, folks, is a couple of those indie games to scratch that indie itch you've got at home. And the first game we have up, which comes from Angus Design Pro with their said game of Gim Kit on Scratch. Next game after that comes from Vlad Chandran with their set game of Fam Ops. Anon Q with their set game of Two Room Task. Monkey VR 2542 with their set game of Project Gunnar. And finally, last but not least, from the developers Scrubs is a Cutie with their set game of Project Ground. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out any other cool games that are still out there to scratch that indie itch you've got out there for some cool indie games, then you can go ahead and head on over to the itch.io page of one man only known as itch.io under the games section to check out all those cool games over there. Trust me, you'll be there for a while because they got a million of them. Really do. If you also want to go ahead and check out all the nominees we've mentioned, plus the winners of these set awards, plus games featured a part of the Art Wall, Sound Wall, Screenshot Saturday Showcase, or even have your games mentioned over there as well, then you can go ahead and head on over to the IndyCade.tumblr page of one man only known as IndyCade.tumblr.com. Or head on over to their Facebook page known as IndyCade, or even their Twitter, Flickr, Instagram, YouTube, Discord, Twitch, as well as their said screenshot page of the said Steam Machine variety and SoundCloud page, as well as their website that are all named the same, but it's just as critically acclaimed, only known as, you guessed it folks, IndyCade. I guess with that said, folks, I think it's time for us to head back into that music and continue to listen into these diamonds in the rough as we try to turn your Tuesday night into a Friday night. Only here, right here, on the Tuesday Night Special. So don't fall asleep just yet, folks, and stay tuned. Right, all you Streetlight Crusaders, welcome back to the Tuesday Night Special. And Carl and the Maestro said next week we will finally start to read off the award winners from the IndyCade Festival of Games. And it only took us about, how many weeks? 12, according to them. 12. It felt a little bit shorter than that, but I'll take your word for it. Apparently they're keeping count. But besides keeping count of how many weeks of indie nominee games we were able to mention a part of the world of IndyCade, and now counting how many strobe lights does Dan the Weatherman Stu needs for an introduction, well, none other than Dan the Weatherman Stu here to deliver the 5-day weather forecast for this week. Dan the Weatherman Stu, you look like a magician for a 6th grade birthday party, and the microphone is all yours. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from around the world, it's your boy from Chicago, Illinois, Dan the Weatherman Stu here to begin the 5-day weather forecast for this week. And an interesting fact for you, DJ Smokey, I actually did do magic for a birthday party back in 6th grade. Yeah. Let me guess, is that the same outfit you wore for that party, or was that just a modified version? It's not the same outfit. Don't give me that look, DJ Smokey. Here's a rabbit. Why do you have a rabbit? You know what? I'm not getting in this back and forth with you. I'm really not. Because we got a show to run, first of all. Secondly, I'm going to have to put this rabbit outside or back in the, your car's outside, right? Yeah. I'm going to go put this rabbit in the car because it looks scared crapless. So I'm just going to put it back in your car and you go do the weather. Yeah, go do that. Put a rabbit out of a hat. And the rabbit looks like he's terrified for his life. What's wrong with him? All right. So for tonight, that's right, Tuesday night, it's gonna be a low of 19 degrees. Partly cloudy skies with winds going west, northwest at 11 miles per hour. And on Wednesday, another cold day for you, cause it's gonna be a high of 32, low of 18. Partly cloudy skies with winds going northwest at 16 miles per hour. And on Thursday, more clouds in the sky, yeah! Cause it's gonna be a high of 30 degrees, low of 20. Cloudy skies all around with winds going southwest at 8 miles per hour. And on Friday, start of the rain snow weekend, bueno. Cause it's gonna be a high of 39, low of 25. Mostly sunny skies with winds going west, northwest at 7 miles per hour. And on Saturday, a little bit warmer but a lot of rain. Cause it's gonna be a high of 42, low of 28. Nightly showers at 51% with winds going south, southwest at 8 miles per hour. And on Sunday, not a sunny day at all. Cause it's gonna be a high of 35, low of 13. Nightly snow showers at 48% with winds going north at 8 miles per hour. And now you know, cause I've gotta go, because I am down to what events do I am through for the weather broadcast for this week. And now back to the man who's still holding that rabbit in his hand, DJ Smokey for the Tuesday Night Special. Yeah. I don't know what in the world you did to that rabbit, but that rabbit was terrified to get back in that car. And first of all, secondly, I don't know if you noticed, but in the back of the car, you got some doves or pigeons or whatever the world it is, and they crapped all over the back seat. Oh no, the pigeons got out of the back of the car. Dad, what about Stu's gotta go catch them. See you later, DJ Smokey. Dad, what about Stu out? Yeah. Hey, before you go, take the rabbit. And he didn't take the rabbit. And yes, I'm still holding rabbit. What are you looking at? I apologize. I shouldn't take it out on you, rabbit. It's not your fault. But, he gets on my nerves. He leaves real quick. He leaves behind the rabbit. And now I got to say something like abracadabra, and the rabbit's gone. Oh, well, hey, I know magic too. But besides me pulling off magical tricks during late night shows, folks, I think it's time for us to magically make the music come back onto the airwaves. And when we return, we'll be back with another edition of the Indy Report right after this. So don't head downstairs for that pre or post midnight snack just yet, folks, and stay tuned. Right, all you Streetlight Crusaders, welcome back to the Tuesday Night Special. And apparently, according to Carl and the Maestro, we're not done mentioning games just yet from the world of Indie, Cade, because we've got the night games to mention after we mention the awards. All right, so we're still going to be busy for a while in the world of Indie, Cade, with a lot of cool indie games down the tubes. Gotta love it. And Carl and the Maestro is asking me also on the side what happened to that rabbit. It's back in the hat of Dan the Weatherman Stew. Because he texted me, how did I do it? And I texted back, it's magic. Love that episode of Cat Dog. But besides mentioning a cool magician from the world of Cat Dog, folks, I think it's time for us to go into one of my favorite parts of the show. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, none other than the Indy Report, which is me giving you guys 2 news stories followed up by local concert information from local artists performing in local area live near you. And in our first news story, and more or less news for you fans out there of Final Destination thinking that it was actually the Final Destination, well, I'm afraid I've got some bad news. Because it's been announced as of this past week that, yep, there's gonna be another Final Destination film. You know, after the whole wrap-up series for Flight 180 and all the people that was, taken out by it, you think the movie would finally come to an end. But apparently there's going to be another one called Final Destination Bloodlines. Now, I wonder who in the world they're going to have to play the coroner, since the guy who played it before, Tony Todd, unfortunately passed away this past year, or last year. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see who they get to replace him with. And I got a feeling if they're looking for somebody, you know what, I'll offer my services. I'll play a corner in the film. It seems like an appropriate job, according to Carl and the Maestro. Give me the thumbs up. So, hey, give me a call. But besides trying to get a role as a corner during the film, folks, if you guys want to go ahead and check out any further news that's going to be coming up for this said film, and hopefully a trailer in the near future, then you can go ahead and head on over to the Twitter page of one man only known as the Patrick Green to check it out for yourselves. And as a bit of a heads up, Final Destination Bloodlines will air in theaters as of May 16th. Only 3 days off from a certain day that a big red machine doesn't like, right? And in other news, and more or less news from video game to movie news, for you fans out there who always wanted an Until Dawn movie, well, it looks like it's going to happen. And the fact that not only they managed to get the guy who did play as the person who was Hill during the film, Peter Stormare, possibly one of my favorite guys in cinema, is pretty cool. And the fact that the concept of the movie is that in certain cases, when they die, they come back to life to try it again, is pretty cool. Now, one thing I hope for in the near future for this film, or I thought that they were going to do for the film, is have fans vote on what happens to the people during the film and have different parts shot for it. And, to make it a little interactive with the fans in some way, shape, or form. I'm trying to wonder if they ever did that before. And Carl and Michael said that they don't think so. All right? Well, this could be the first. Hopefully it is. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out the details from this said film for Until Dawn, then you can go ahead and head on over to the Twitter page of one man only known as Discussing Film to check it out for yourselves. And as a bit of a heads up, this film will make its way to theaters as of April 25th of 2025. Nice! And with that said, folks, we now make our way on over towards the concert information, where we kick things off with Wednesday, January 15th. And the first band we have up is Uncle Brent Music, who's going to be performing at the Carousel Lounge in Austin, Texas. At 5 p.m., Olu is going to be performing at the Radio Musicians United Festival in Las Vegas, Nevada. At 5 p.m., Trevor Finley is going to be performing at the Bootleggers Inn in Nashville, Tennessee. At 6 p.m., John Starr is going to be performing at the Bayside Restaurant in Newport Beach, California. At 6 p.m., John Lowbridge is going to be performing at the Little Bar Restaurant in Goodland, Florida. At 6:30 p.m., you can also see Flammy Grant, who's going to be performing at the Sticky's Rock and Roll Chicken Shack in Little Rock, Arkansas. At 7 p.m., Lloyd L. Tolbert with the Tolbert Band is going to be performing at the Max Restaurant Nightclub in Eugene, Oregon. At 7 p.m., Jim Sloan, Hugh Mayer, Berkeley Sisson, and guests is all going to be performing at the Red Brick Tavern in Conroe, Texas. At 7 p.m., and to finally wrap things up for Thursday or Wednesday night, according to Colin the Maestro, you can see Jack Anderson, who's going to be performing at the Nolan's Pub in Safety Harbor, Florida at 7:30 p.m. And now on Thursday, January 16th, you can see these following bands performing in a local area near you live. The C4 Band is going to be performing at the Bobby's Idle Hour Tavern in Nashville, Tennessee at 12:30 p.m. The Chrome Wheels Band, with Jewel included, is all going to be performing at the Laguna Bob in South Padre Island, Texas at 3 p.m. Brian is going to be performing at the Monterey Court Studios Galleries and Cafe in Tucson, Arizona at 6 p.m. Wind River Ensemble is going to be performing alongside with Brian in the Monterey Court Studios Gallery and Cafe in Tucson, Arizona at 6 p.m. The Herd Eye is going to be performing at the Big Easy in Petaluma, California at 6:30 p.m. Unidad Trauma, Scum Portal, Gen Stealer, and Attention Monger, nice band names, is all going to be performing at the Brick by Brick in San Diego, California at 7 p.m. Debbie Glean, Billy Hillman, and Scott Nutter is all going to be performing at the Red Brick Tavern in Conroe, Texas at 7 p.m. You can also see Eli Howard and the Greater Good with Big Dirt and Champagne Sunday, nice band names, who's all going to be performing at the Fun House in Seattle, Washington at 7:30 p.m. And to finally wrap things up for Thursday night, you can see Nathan Bryce with the Loaded Dice, who's going to be performing at the Park Theater in Holland, Michigan at 8 p.m. And for Tuesday for next week, which is the 21st of January, you can see these following bands performing in a local area live near you. The Richmonds is going to be performing at the Little Bar Restaurant in Goodland, Florida at 6:30 p.m. Nate Nielsen Acoustic is going to be performing at the Red Brick Tavern in Conroe, Texas at 7 p.m. Marty C. Moore is going to be performing at the Froggies in Virginia Beach, Virginia at 7 p.m. Andrew Carpenter is going to be performing at the Nick Rocks in Alabama at 7 p.m. And apparently, according to Colin the Maestro, in Beeham, Alabama. I didn't think that was a real place. That's why I skipped it. But seriously, is there really a place called Beeham, Alabama? Apparently so, right? Anyway, next band we've got up is Fire Tiger, who's going to be performing at the Whiskey A Go Go in West Hollywood, California at 8 p.m. Tim Hort is going to be performing at the Montrose Saloon in Chicago, Illinois. At 8 p.m., Nathan Stone is going to be performing at the Oxenfree Public House in Brookings, Oregon. At 8 p.m., Karaoke Tuesday is going to be performing at the Mr. Peabody's in Encinitas, California. At 8:30 p.m., you can also see Austin Mays, Ben Morris, and the Great American Boxcar Chorus with Haley Anna and Star D. Alson, who's all going to be performing at the Saxton Pub in Austin, Texas at 9:30 p.m. And to finally wrap things up for Tuesday for next week and all the bands we're going to mention for this week, you can see none other than Prophet P, who's going to be performing at the Strat Hotel Casino and Sky Pod in Las Vegas, Nevada at 10 p.m. If you guys want to go ahead and check out the complete list of bands that we couldn't list during this very broadcast, and trust me, folks, there were a lot of them, you can head on over to ReverbNation.com to check out the complete list of bands that we couldn't list during this very broadcast. While you're over there, check out a couple of their cool tunes. Trust me, they're worth the listen. Like we say at the end of all of these skits, go out there, support your local artists, and see these guys perform live. And trust me, they'll love you for it. And I guess with that said, we might as well head back to that music one more time. And when we return, we'll be back with the final segment for the Tuesday Night Special for this week, right after this. So don't fall asleep just yet, folks, and stay tuned. Well, all you Streetlight Crusaders, seeing the fact that we're fresh out of Streetlight Crusading oil and we've got to get out of here to get some more for next week's show, we might as well bring the Tuesday Night Special for this week to an emphatic close. But don't worry, if you miss any of that Streetlight delight that we were able to give you for this week, don't worry, we got you covered, because you can catch this show again one more time, all the time, on our SoundCloud, Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr pages, still all named the same, only known as Music Village Radio under the hashtag Tuesday Night Special 522. And according to Carl and the Maestro, thanks to Dan the Weatherman Stu, that repair for his car cost him well over $522. But why is it our fault? Oh, because he swerved and almost crashed off the road because the rabbit in his hat. Ugh. I should have thought that through, but I didn't think saying the words abracadabra would just make a rabbit appear. And there's the rabbit. What? I'm better than I thought. And if you guys want to figure out all the crazy and zany things we still got prepared for this year of the fist, like me making a rabbit appear from out of thin air again, then you can go ahead and check it out on our YouTube, Discord, and Twitter pages, still all named the same, only known as the Double Agent 0012. Before we head out for the night, we would like to thank, as always, you the Streetlight Crusaders out there for listening in to another late night mid-month fighting edition of the Tuesday Night Special. If you guys and gals out there like what you heard, go out there and spread the word. You know what? Like Atomic Betty telling the pilot to get out there and try to fix that reception switch, and giving them some words of inspiration before doing so, and calling the Maestro as well as the PR department, giving it the thumbs up, and at the same time, all dressed like characters from Atomic Betty. Not bad. Not bad at all. And we would also like to thank you the independent artists out there for that musical goodness like you always do. And keep up the great work, guys, and here's hoping you can come up with a cool theme song for a cool cartoon in the near future. And why? Because we believe in you guys. That's why. That's why. Also, I got a feeling we would need to get a soundtrack for it, too, to play on the show. That's why, too. And speaking of cool sounds that were intros or outros featured for the show, we would like to thank our musical guest for this week, none other than Jason Klug with his said song of Pet the Dog that was featured during the intro for this week's edition of the show. The Lunar Awakening from Carl and the Maestro that was featured during the Indy Report. And of course, for the song you're listening to right now of the Late Night Cafe Wrap-Up, that's wrapping things up for the Tuesday Night Special for this week. Like always, guys, keep up the great work, and we can't wait to hear what you got coming down the tubes next. And finally, last but certainly not least, we would like to thank you, the independent gamers out there, for coming out with all those sweet, sweet video game hits and clips we had a chance to mention during this week's show. And Carl and the Maestro said, don't you mean this week's show? Yeah, and all shows prior to it. And like always, guys, keep up the great work, because you never know what show might be coming around the corner next. Hint, 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 hint. And I guess with everybody thanked, you guys out there know we go out. I'm DJ Smokey on behalf of Carl and the Maestro, and for you up-all-nighters, late-night drivers, insomniac TV watchers, gamers, grapplers, and especially you streetlight crusaders who already made it halfway through the first month of the new year saying, come on, where's your sense of adventure? But most importantly, when there's smoke, there's fire. And we'll see you guys next week for a very special late night 21 fighting edition of the Tuesday Night Special. But until then, go get some sleep and good night, everybody.